Next weekend. Next weekend.
What's the rain go?
Yeah, tomorrow evening, I
Oh, no,
think.
Keep that great.
I'm like, why? Why can't we just?
Another nice weekend coming up.
And he's like, oh no, we gotta get to the other side.
You
So I gotta
got
call.
a camp out on Sunday weekend, or you staying around? Last
We
week.
need to get it paper.
Once a month.
Well, it's my fault.
Well,
Sorry about that.
they're fluctuating, sometimes weekends now, they found we get a cheaper rate during the week. There's no drugstore, how are you?
Good, good.
Happy to be here.
Yeah, as far as I
The
know.
next 2 or 3 hours.
Evening's young though, isn't it?
Yes, that's true.
Just coming?
No,
Can I just see?
that one. Bring it back here further if you want. Up to you.
Hey Judy,
How are you?
good, good, how about you?
I'm okay.
What's Mr. Bart doing?
Not doing great. What is here? I can't.
That's fine.
I can't.
You're fine. I don't think anybody's going to take your car. Shower. Pretty sure you're good to go. Sherry, you want your door open? Yeah, can you close it, please? Thank you.
She did come like work on Wednesday, so
Have you seen Boss's bus down there?
Did you do
Or
it?
your brother's bus? You wrote an article about that, didn't you?
Yeah,
How about that in the media?
came out today.
No.
What kind of bus is he talking about? A coast bus.
Oh,
Yeah, he's going off to college and room and board is pretty
that's
expensive.
Embry Road
Huh?
So he's
in Florida.
It's a room. It is, look at it.
reconditioned the bus to take down there.
It's gonna be the envy of, it's gonna be the envy of all of us classes. I mean, it's a suite.
I'll say,
Wood panel, it's got shower, washer, dryer.
really?
Well, we don't have to start that.
Huh?
That sounds great.
Yeah, well, the whole family did it, there's so much project.
Great idea.
This was.
Yeah, he saved $50,000 in rent.
If you're going back in there, you're on the left there. That was their backyard.
The party bus.
Party.
That's
That's amazing.
in boards and they were trying to, and I kicked it out because I said, I've been long. They tried to do it.
This is nonsense. She did all sick, like, I'm like, what's it for?
How about that? We've been waiting and waiting for somebody to call in. No one ever calls us.
Huh.
Judy used to.
Darn, that's disappointing, isn't it, Becky?
Yeah. Black.
At least they can't throw tomatoes over your telephone.
Oh, was I supposed to hand out tomatoes? Is that what you?
I saw
You
him.
like your
that was
profit tomatoes.
That was a private joke.
I saw him bring in tomatoes in. All right, well, I think we're gonna go ahead and get started here. Should I wait one more minute?
Answer solicitor.
This is one more minute. Everybody say, are you starting early? Is that all?
Yeah.
Cancel last week, open the whole on. So Saturday, he wants to know if he can fly Saturday. By 11.
That looks good.
Don't bother finishing that.
That's not a good way to start, is it?
You're good. You're good, Mickey.
I am good, thank you. Please stand for pledge allegiance. Pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please have roll call.
Mr. Barlow?
Here.
Mr. Jackson?
Here.
Mr. Price?
Here.
Okay, anyone that wants to join us, these are the telephone for public comments. The number's gonna be 1-832-831-2424. The access code is 280672. That number again is 1-832-831-2424 with access code 280672. Is anyone with us tonight? Sound like it. Okay.
Sing your lunch.
This meeting was for the opportunity for the residents of Liberty Township and the Mid-Atlantic Soaring Association for them to present to the township residents their proposal for the airport. So we're going to let you guys do that again here tonight. For some, we do have some residents in here, and then we'll do questions and answers from there. So, go ahead.
Are we tape recording this?
Yes, absolutely.
It's live, live feed. It's on the agenda, it's live
Yeah,
feed.
it's always on.
So I think what we'll do is just talk for 5 or 10 minutes to
Okay.
introduce the organization or plans, and then stay as long as needed for questions and answers. I'll start. I'm Mike Higgins. I'm the president of the Soaring Club down here. We own and operate the airport. We have for 50 years. We're coming up on our 50th anniversary of operating there and being part of the community. With me tonight is Mike Cooper White. Mike's our corporate secretary. He's a tow pilot, glider pilot, and a resident here in Adams County. And we have a number of other members here who will probably talk a little bit later and introduce themselves. As I said, we've been here for 50 years. We're about 100 people strong right now, 100 members. Anyone can join the club. Anyone can join the organization. We don't turn anyone away. And participate in becoming a glider pilot and learning to fly with us. All of us here, those of us who are officers and directors of the organizations, are all volunteers. None of us are paid. We are all a non-profit 501c3 corporation. All proceeds that we get from operations get folded back into the operation for improving the airport and moving forward with our mission, or get distributed to other charities, either locally or nationally. We do distributions both. We distribute funds nationally as well as here in the Fairfield community and so forth. Given that we're volunteers, we do it with a lot of energy and enthusiasm. We really do believe in our mission. Our mission there is to, it is stated right in our corporate bylaws, is to advance the art and science of soaring. And that's what we do every week, every weekend. We do that through practicing, we do it through developing piloting skills, we do it through community outreach, we do it through communication, we do it through education and flight instruction. And flight instruction is a big part of what we do down there. We have, 20 primary students approximately in the group right now. Kathy here is our chief instructor and is also a resident here in the township. More than that, sometimes as many as 30 students. And we open that up again to anyone locally or from the county can come in and join us and learn how to fly. It's quite a popular thing to do right now. But we're all very proud of what we do there at the airport. Besides being, going forward with our mission of advancing soaring and education and training, we also are operating one of two public use airports in the county, the other one being Gettysburg up there just west of town with its big paved runway. And we're very proud of that. I mean, having a paved runway, a public access airport, gives the community a transportation portal that otherwise we wouldn't have for people coming and going into the community Liberty or Friends or whatever. We also find that being a public use airport, we get a lot of activity from the government. We get helicopter training operations from Site R here on the hill behind me. We get P-40 operations coming into our airport. We also get medevac operations there at the airport too, where we are the closest easy medevac helicopter access for our side of Ski Liberty and this part of the township, and that goes on throughout the year. Besides that, we also, support the community through local contracting. We have people provide mowing support, cleaning services, contracting services for building projects down there. We contribute, as I mentioned before, we contribute charitable funds to different organizations here in Fairfield and around the community. For example, during the COVID flare-up last year, we contributed to Ruth's Harvest in Fairfield. We had a big drive, and we're a big part of the Ruth's Harvest food drive, which we were very proud of. So those are the kind of things we're involved with. We advance soaring, we operate gliders, yes. We like to think we're also a good part of the community. And we're very proud to have been here for 50 years. Now, the reason we came down here a month ago to talk to the supervisors was that it's expensive operating an airport. It really is. It's a big facility, has a lot of paved surfaces, a lot of big buildings that require maintenance and upkeep. Much of that upkeep, much of that maintenance cost is paid for by our membership, by the people that do the flying there. But sometimes we see opportunities to bring in funding from outside, and that's where we are right now. We see an opportunity to bring in a Pennsylvania DOT grant to help us with our facility improvement down there. We're not looking to expand the runways, we're not looking to add runways, we're not expanding our footprint. We're just trying to maintain the facility, keep the buildings at a higher and better standard so we can operate our equipment long term. With that, I'm going to go ahead and have Mike Cooper White talk a little bit more about the grant opportunities we're looking at right now with the specific projects. Mike?
Thank you, Mike, and thanks again to the supervisors and residents of the township for your interest. As our president mentioned, like all property owners, we have the burden of property maintenance. We have some major deferred items, our clubhouse, as we call it, which is kind of the gathering point, and also the terminal for the airport, has some long deferred maintenance of many years and will be quite an expensive project. And then some upgraded hangar space for what we call assembled gliders. As some of us are getting on in age, it becomes more and more difficult to put the wings on a glider. Those wings weigh 100 pounds or more. And so the opportunity for some of our senior members especially to keep their gliders assembled in that hangar, which we see being way down the other end of the runway, which would not even be visible from Petra Road, is an opportunity. And as Mike mentioned, while members invest heavily and have over the years in the club, we also have in the past received some grants from the Pennsylvania Department of Transportation, and we intend to apply for what's called a multimodal transportation grant this coming cycle to help with those projects. I don't know if you are readers of the Gettysburg Times. I hope you all are, since I write for the Times regularly. But in Saturday's paper, there was this lead story on a $900,000 grant for the Gettysburg Airport for some additional ramp space and so on. In addition to the Department of Transportation supporting bridges and highways and Amtrak, the PennDOT is responsible for airports and has every year a considerable pool of funds, and we'll be applying to that. And as you might imagine, whenever any organization, a nonprofit in particular, applies for grants, support from the local community is appreciated. In the case of Gettysburg, I will tell you that Cumberland Township's support for that project and for the airport throughout the years has been key to its success in receiving grants like this. So I'll stop there. There may be others of our members, so we can just briefly comment, and we're eager to respond to any questions that citizens and the supervisors have.
So you have no one else in the airport who wants to speak?
I would like real quick, I just wanted to talk about a positive
Your
effect.
name?
My name is Ross Clements.
Ross.
I'm a local resident just down the road here. I just wanted to real quick talk about how NASA has positively affected my life personally. So I'm a 6-year member of NASA. I joined just before I turned 13. I'm now 18. A distinguished honor roll student, Eagle Scout, hometown Boy Scout. So all of my life I've been interested in aviation. Started out with model airplanes, and then being 2 miles out of the runway meant that as soon as I could look up, I was watching tow planes turn out just above my house. So because of that, I always knew I wanted to fly. My grandfather and my dad were both pilots, so that makes me a 3rd generation pilot. So over the past 6 years, I've logged over 100 flights with our volunteer instructors, and over hundreds of hours of ground school on regulations, maintenance, all sorts of stuff. And I've also received advice and mentoring from all sorts of people, pilots, people that work for the FAA, government, etc. And that has bridged into how I started my career in aviation. You know, Sully Sullenberger, Neil Armstrong, Alan Shepard, they all started as glider pilots. So I'm starting in the same place and I'm planning to eventually fly for an airline. So commercial aviation owes its entire existence to small town airports in these communities. Almost everybody starts out in a small local airport. For an example, 6 junior pilots I met at a contest 3 years ago. 4 of them are in aviation, 3 of them are airline pilots currently. So they all started at Massa, Airport in New York, all over. And without the encouragement and guidance of these people that show up to Massa weekend after weekend, I personally wouldn't have a direction in my life. I wouldn't know exactly what I wanted to do, but because of F-15 pilots, B-52 pilots, F-16s, even Spitfire pilots, they've helped, and airline pilots, they've all helped guide me to find my specific career path. And without NASA, that wouldn't have happened. So over the years, NASA has done community outreach to open its doors. Through my Boy Scout troop, we all got to go and do our aviation merit badge. We got some ground school, we got to tour Harrisburg International Airport, and then we all had to go for a glider ride, and that gave us our aviation merit badge, which is something a very few amount of Boy Scouts get to do, and even fewer have ever taken a glider. So it was a really unique experience. We've done community outreach days with an open house a few years ago, and then we also bring in the elite Navy test pilots from Tucson River. So we do engage the community, and you can see the high standard through Navy test pilots. They want to come play with us for the weekend. They want to leave behind their F-18s and such, go play with gliders. So soaring in NASA has had a obviously massively positive impact on my life and shaped me into who I am and who I am becoming. And I hope that many youth in this local community can have the same opportunities that I have, and that only happens with community support. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, anyone else from the community want to speak? Please give your name and let us know where you're from.
Okay, I'm John Lockerman. I should come up front of that. A Massa member and a landowner over at the airport adjacent to the airport. I just wanted to give you kind of my personal story. I've been here over 10 years, a member of the Massa Club for probably around 10 years. And I have a son and a daughter, both started flying over there. My son started in gliders, soloed in gliders, and then he towed for the club and instructed in aircraft, and now he's a C-130 Air National Guard pilot. He's not here tonight because he's been tasked for the next 10 days to fly refugees from Afghanistan to different parts of the country. My daughter as well started to fly over here with me, and she's not a Massa member now, but she's now just became a C-130 aircraft commander in the Air National Guard. So a lot of young people Ross is a great example, and we could probably come up with another 8 or 10 young people that have come through the club, learned to fly there, and then progressed into other aviation careers and so forth. It's a very active airport in terms of the club and so forth, and it's a real resource for the community. And we've had a lot of, I don't know if Mike mentioned, did a lot of Boy Scout troop activity over there with merit badges, that kind of thing, and activity. So anyways, I just wanted to put my 2 cents in for support.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Supervisors? Bob, you want to start?
Well, I thought you might have forgotten me, Mickey.
No, I didn't. I didn't do it.
No. I'd like to start off by saying I'm obviously biased in favor of soaring and soaring clubs. I've been doing this for 60 years, and I moved here to this locale because of that glider club. And go home. I've been quite active and becoming a little less active as I get to be an advanced octogenarian. But I still believe in the concept, and I think it's an important part of our community, and we're trying very, very hard. The club is to be good neighbors. I do not have a conflict of interest, I don't believe. I don't own a glider, I don't own an airplane, I don't own a hangar, and I'm inactive as far as official status is concerned. I don't know that that's relevant to anything, but I'm not doing this for any personal gain or anything like that. I learned a lot from gliding in my many years of doing it, and I'm still learning every day. And it's a great activity, I think, and we're doing our very best to be good neighbors. My opinion, this is the best glider club in the country. And it's the best glider club in the country. I've been a member of quite a few others, but one of the reasons is that it is devoted almost exclusively to gliders. And one of the nice things about gliders is that they don't have engines, they're quiet. And so we go out of our way to try to encourage gliding and discourage hot dog power planes from flying in. Once in a while one comes in. It is a public airport, and so we can't stop people from flying in. But we don't have, there's no fuel, there's no maintenance, there's no tie down, and there's no lights. So all those things are needed by power flying. So it's pretty much dedicated to gliding. The advantage to the glider is that a landing airplane has the right of way over airplanes sitting on the runway. So when we're at a busy airport like Frederick, we get all set up to take off on the runway, and in comes some little Piper Cub. We'd have to clear the runway to let him land, put it back on, and then a little Cessna would come on. We'd go through more hours horsing the gliders back and forth than we did flying, it seems to me. So that's the advantage here. Very seldom the power planes come in. And I think it's one of the reasons that I think it's the best glider place in the country. And it's attracting more and more young people, and as you've heard today, they're very active in the field of aviation. I'm also the closest guy to the airport, and so I'm on the call list for the FAA, the FBI, the CIA, and they're very concerned about safety at Camp David, and that's why you see the helicopters flying around. And they call ahead and say, we're going to come over and do some training exercises or pick up a VIP or something like that. And so we can accommodate the government, and we've made it our business to be on very good terms with them. And even during the activation of Camp David, when the president was there, they've given us a special waiver so that we can operate the gliders in accordance with the rules that they established, even while this high security alert is in this area. So I'm supportive of the program, and I'd like to point out also that this meeting is not for the purpose of approving the project. That will come with the normal permits and land use activities and building permits and that sort of stuff. I mean, this is to explain what the operation is of the club and to let everybody know how we operate and why we're trying to be good neighbors. And thank you.
Thank you. Rob?
Yeah, got a couple questions. Ross, what troop do you belong to?
I belonged to Troop 76 at the time of the merit badge, and then we,
Where is that?
in Fairfield,
Fairfield.
just behind the fire hall.
Okay.
Now a member of Crew 230, which is a Green Mountain Fire Company, halfway to Kingsburg.
Okay, all right. I've heard heard the term public use, and so if I got an airplane, I want to go skiing this weekend, I can drop in and go skiing? Is that the way that works, public use?
The way it works is, an airplane can land there, and take off again. We own the property, so they would need our permission if they want to park it there, because we own everything else around the runway.
So it's gotta be pre-established?
It's gotta be pre-established and approved by our organization.
Okay.
So you don't often see people coming in to land.
No, I
But
know that.
it rarely, but occasionally happens with our approval.
Yeah, just to follow up with a specific example, there was a group of flying dentists who wanted to come to NASA. They contacted us about a year ago. This was 30-some airplanes. We just can't and, have no desire to accommodate. They all went to Gettysburg and died down here.
Okay.
Bus to Liberty.
You talked about the medevac and the military use landings there. Bunch them together, how many times a year would that happen?
That's a good question for Bob Jackson. He's our airport manager.
Well, I'd say we're right at the foot of the ski hill, and whenever there's a broken leg or one requiring medevac, they come in, and I'd say probably half a dozen times a year.
For military and medevac?
No, just the medevac.
How often does the military
I'd say,
utilize
well,
any part of that?
they have a variety of operations, and one of them is making big wide circles all around this area to make sure there are no bad guys sneaking up on us. And so if you count that as an operation, it's about daily. They come in and land, I'd say once a week, maybe once every 2 weeks. And they fly in pairs, and they come in and they make practice landings, and occasionally they'll pick up a passenger. And they certainly come in and arrest anybody who invades their secure area. And that happened a summer ago, a couple of summers ago. I think it was on 4th of July. There's this tremendous roar. And while they're guarding the ground, they've got 2 jets up at 30,000 feet overseeing the whole operation. And some young kid came in and he came in to land, and he hadn't bothered to check the charts or with flight service. He came in without authorization, and before he could get to the airport, those 2 jets were chasing each other with their afterburners on, rocking them, giving us the 4th of July presentation. They're pretty mean on those guys, and the kid jumps out of the plane and says, I'm Jimmy, I'm gonna be an airline pilot.
Maybe not.
Somebody walked up in the back and said, I think your career goal just changed.
You talked about donations. Obviously, you donate to the Boy Scouts, which I thank you, because I was a Boy Scout at one time. And beyond that, more specifically within the community, being Liberty Township, do you do anything specifically for the citizens or the welfare of the township?
Well, that's a good question. We have done, I'm not aware of anything specifically for the township other than having an open house a couple of years ago and open houses before that, where we've invited the public in for presentations and education and glider rides and things like that. We do make contributions, monetary contributions to the firehouse, the fire hall and EMS in Fairfield. And we have again made special charitable contributions like the Roost Harvest and things like that in past years.
Yeah, we raised over $2,000 for Ruth's Harvest, and I think that serves Liberty as much as Fairfield.
It probably does. And if there are opportunities to do that sort of thing within the township, we would gladly and very openly welcome that and try to support it.
I'll keep that in mind, please.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
I think that's about all I have to say.
Okay, couple of questions I had. I've been looking at your proposed map of where you wanna put things and all. Trying to figure out where you're gonna, I see where you're gonna put the clubhouse.
Well,
Trying
the
to figure
club-
out where you wanna put this new hangar.
It would be south of the clubhouse. There's another hangar building. You see the main hangar there.
Yeah, it says main hangar and
And if you go
clubhouse.
south of that or southeast of that, you'll see another hangar, and then there's a big stretch of grass. That big stretch of grass on the very southeast corner is where that new building would go.
I think it shows the tow plane hangar, does it not on there?
It has a tow plane hangar, yeah, down here.
Yeah,
where the
So
end of the
it'd
line.
be just north of that, in between the tow plane hangar
And the fuel tank.
and the fuel tank, just north of there.
And the clubhouse that you want to put in, is that in the existing clubhouse now?
It's the existing clubhouse that we're looking at expanding the footprint about 800 square feet, just to provide a little more space. But it's mostly a renovation of the existing space. That's that building.
Are you adding to the building or utilizing some of the existing building? as
We're
far
going
as-
to mostly use the existing building and bump one wall out to add about 800 square feet.
Which wall, the back wall?
It would be the,
Side
it
wall?
would be the northwest wall.
Okay. All right.
Wall facing Petra, but it would just come out and the roof extended to cover it.
Okay.
I see you have on your map here too, that you actually have a campsite there, or camper slots.
We have 12 RV campers on site and have for decades.
Hmm.
And those are used exclusively for our members who spend occasional nights or weekends at the airport.
So right now you have 5 hangars, is that correct?
We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that's correct.
And then you want the 6th one would be the one you're talking about that's gonna house like 15 planes, I believe?
So I remember like 12,
10 or 12.
yeah.
Hmm.
Remind me of the size of that building.
It's evolved over time. I think the latest was around 250 feet long. Is that, Mike's here, isn't it, Mike?
Yeah,
Yeah.
here's a drawing.
Is that about right?
I don't have no
numbers in my head, but. Yeah, the drawing might be in the package there. By about
That
40
would be-
feet
That's why I
wide.
asked.
Well, I was saying,
And the reason it's the size it is again, as Mike pointed out, that we're trying to store our gliders assembled. Very often gliders are kept with the wings off in trailers.
mhm.
That's where most of them are kept there, and with our aging members, it's just easier to keep them assembled for use. So there's no more gliders really being added to the airport, it's just instead of being stored in trailers, they're stored assembled for easy access.
And again, it's in conformity with use, airports have hangars, so nothing unusual.
What's the lot size of the airport?
I don't know.
Does anyone know what the total acreage is of the airport?
Yeah, it started out at 60 acres, and now that 60 acres chopped up a little bit because this is the way the deeds are, but it's 60 acres on the airport proper and 60 acres on the overrun field, which is owned by Pelican. Was owned by Pelican, and he sold it to us, to the airport.
So the airport owns 120 acres, is that what you're saying?
120 acres in aggregate, yeah.
And that's zoned AR, all
Yeah, and it has the airport overlay, of course, so any property owners, you know, within the perimeter are advised there's an airport there. Or any property purchasers.
Anyone else have any questions for these guys at all about the airport and the proposed hangar and clubhouse?
Speak now or forever hold your peace.
Andrew, you got any comment? Go ahead. Hold on a second. Go ahead, Judy.
Judy Hogan. I'd just be interested in knowing how many people stay here overnight or frequent. We don't have, as you know, a large township, but like David James, do people eat there? And other ways that people support the community when they're here.
So you're asking how many people stay over?
Well, just about, I mean, I just heard about these RVs, which I never knew.
Yeah, I mean, we have members come up mostly to participate in the operation for just the day. They come up in the morning, they stay through the day, they'll often go into town for lunch,
Okay,
come back out, fly, and go home. But a handful will spend the night or the weekend. It could be anywhere from 2 to 5 might be staying overnight on a given weekend, either in the campers or just pitch a tent on the property. Something
I was
like that.
thinking about supporting a local community, like
Yeah.
staying in Ski Liberty or
Right, and then they
Union
all.
David James or what
Yeah,
else do we
we'll
have?
probably, if you go into the village book and table, I mean,
Yeah.
we usually have about a third of it occupied on every Saturday, I think.
Okay, I think that's good to know.
Yeah, and Venturas and the others too. So-
And then we have some major events too, like in October, we'll have a contest.
Mhm.
There'll be 20 or so probably visiting pilots. Many of them will stay in local motels or hotels and eat all their meals. We have a banquet scheduled for Hickory Ridge, thank you. So yeah, you know, we generate considerable support for the local economy.
I think that's good to know.
The clubhouse, is that just for airport people?
It's for our members, yes.
Just for the members of the?
And not to say that we don't, if people walk up and ask to use our restroom, which frequently happens, we have to do that, of course. But generally, the keys are just given out to the membership who are paid members of the organization.
Which septic is that work all about?
We have a holding tank there, and it's pumped periodically.
And one of the things we've talked about with an expanded clubhouse, we would be very eager to welcome the community. You know, a local group needs a place to meet from time to time, we'd certainly be open to that. Hospitality has been a part of our ethos all along too.
They designed a building down there where you guys are at, I just wondered which had in mind with the clubhouse.
It's just, the clubhouse is nearly 50 years old, and it's run down, and it needs serious renovation. So that's really the driving factor. It's not that we have to have it larger. We thought if we're gonna renovate it, now would be the time to bump it out just to be a little larger, and just bring it up to a modern standard.
Say if my building, rent that to somebody, and as long as they belong to your club, they could taxi over to my building?
Yeah, we have what we call a through the fence agreement, which are common at airports, where someone owns property on the perimeter of the airport and they want to operate an aircraft, they have to have our approval, and we give it under certain constraints. And there's a fee involved because they're using an expensive asset, we expect them to contribute a little bit to it. But that is done down there, yes, and so that's certainly a possibility. I would encourage them to talk to us, you know, and we'd be happy to explain the details to you.
Mike, one of the things to mention with the clubhouses is to bring it up to some of the modern standards.
Yep.
What is it, the
EDA code, yeah.
Which takes more space, I mean.
It does, yeah, we're upgrading bathrooms and accessibility.
Yeah.
Now, since you're gonna upgrade the clubhouse, and you said that you got a holding tank, are you gonna seek putting a conventional system on, or type of system on the place, since you have approximately 100 members, and at any given time, more than that are using your clubhouse and your facilities?
Well, we're gonna have the same number of commodes and you know, showers and sinks, and so there won't be any, we don't anticipate any more water usage or sewage requirements. And our current schedule we have for the holding tank has been working out fine. It's either weekly or bi-weekly.
Every 2 weeks.
Every 2 weeks.
Every 2 weeks, and it's through Carroll Valley, and it's been in effect for 50 years. We don't pay the pump out people, we pay Carroll Valley, and they take, I'm sure, a small cut and give it to the pump out people. We got a 3,000 gallon tank, so it's a pretty big facility, and it's never caused any problems, and there's no permeability in that whole area, so I don't think we could put in a standard system if we wanted to. None of the campers have any septic hookups or any water hookups.
So what are they dumping?
Into the holding, they dump it in the holding tank, or they hold it until they get home, or they go into the clubhouse.
So no one dumps in a holding tank, it's just for our own items.
Oh, that's good. Well, all right.
You asked?
Yeah. All right. And the only reason I asked that question because I'm not adverse to the zoning and the ordinances, and for some reason I was thinking when you do improvements and all, then you have to also comply with current ordinances.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm not sure how that goes, but I'm thinking that if you're gonna improve the clubhouse and the capacity in there, you may have to look at our SO officer may have to come out and
Sure.
do an analysis if it needs to meet state and federal regulations of today, not 50 years ago. I understand it's 50 years ago, but anytime you're doing improvements on properties today, even our residential, when they do upgrades or improvements on their property, and you guys would most certainly have to comply with that, is you have to comply with today's current ordinances. You don't get grandfathered in because what you had 50 years ago, anything you improve today has to meet today's standards. And on that note, I want to ask our zoning officer actually to give us some insight on that, because he's here tonight.
My name is Andrew Miller. I'm zoning officer. You're correct, Mr. Barlow. If you guys would be upgrading the building, you would have to meet current standards. You know, and that would all be in your plans and everything once you actually submit it. And as far from a zoning standpoint, until I really saw any plans, as long as they would comply with everything in the Liberty zoning ordinance, you know, that would be the big thing. And then of course you'd have to comply with all the building code as well when we have to get the building inspection, our building permit, zoning permits and everything.
Absolutely.
But you know, like I said, that would all be once you guys were further along in the process. Because right now, like I said, I know you guys are just basically here trying to get approval from the township for the grant.
Right.
So I know you don't have any plans. You guys thrown out some rough numbers. So that you know, at least gives me a little something to have in the back of my head when you do submit plans. But like I said, right now, until I would have formal plans, it'd be really hard for me to tell you, hey, this is good, or
Sure.
no, it's not. But I would, like Mr. Barlow said, you would have to come up to more current codes. So, and the SEO would probably have to come look at your system. And,
Sure.
you know, if he says it needs to be updated, then it would have to be updated.
Very good, thank you.
So,
Okay, the last thing I think for you guys is, I did see it here in the, in section 403 of our township ordinance, that it says applications furnish evidence of obtaining a license from the Pennsylvania Department of Transportation, the Bureau of Aviation, before approval of conditional use. Have you guys took steps to do that?
Every year.
Every year we have to get rid of.
We have a state inspection every year in the fall.
Okay.
And they give us a license.
And we always pass with flying colors. So far, so good.
Okay, does anyone else have any questions pertaining to the airport and their ideas of expanding their hangar and their clubhouse? This is the time to. Do we have anyone on speaker tonight with us? I don't think so, but I ask again.
Mr. Chairman, I have a question.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to exclude you from
No,
that
no,
there.
no, that's fine. Over the years, have you ever received any complaints from any residents concerning any aspect of the airport at all? And if so, what's your procedure or policy for addressing complaints?
Well, I'm thinking back, I think the only complaints I'm aware of have been an occasional noise complaint from aircraft noise. It's rare, but we have had them informally. We have people who have contacted us. We reach out to them, talk to them, find out where they live, get specifics on time, location, and then we try to adjust our operations to minimize the impact we're paying on them. That's happened every time we've been contacted. We try to cooperate and understand what's driving it and change what we do.
We've also checked with both Liberty Township Police and Carroll Valley, and there have been no noise complaints filed in recent years at all on record. So that's a pretty good indicator. I think.
Other than that, over the years, has anybody else had any experience with complaints? I don't think so.
Thank you.
We're a pretty quiet, cooperative group, you know.
Is that all you have?
No, that's all I have.
All righty. Well, we have no further questions or comments from the public. I guess we will adjourn this meeting. I'll make a motion to adjourn the meeting at 7:10.
You have to keep talking until 7:30.
No, I don't. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you guys. We really appreciate it. Thanks again. Thanks again. Have a great night.
I'll be back.
What need was good dog furniture?
I'll think about you guys often.
I think
That's what Bob said, I mean, yeah, it's like, getting to know everybody for sure. No, this is how I went to work today. I'm planning to retire tomorrow.
Not too bad.
Why I'm supposed to have this house, I said I could retire.
March might be the big month.
Well, I made them a proposition, if they give me 200 more shares, I'll stay another year. So it's up to them to make that very large decision.
You always were a wheeler dealer.
That'll be another $112,000, so that's up to them to fix it. I think it's a cheap price.
He'll be there until he's 90 years old. He'll be in his desk like this.
I don't think so.
I don't know. I'm beginning to wonder, Russ.
Oh, well. It's a
He
wonderful,
doesn't like
that's a
talking.
wonderful monthly paycheck, let me tell
He
you.
doesn't like talking.
Ain't a bad gig, huh?
Oh,
Yeah. So your dad went back today?
yeah.
Yeah, I'm here.
Good day for him to travel.
Oh, yeah, he made good time.
Said it didn't have any traffic. Put it in cruise.
Where he went.
He always calls and says the Eagles landed.
So where's Joel actually living right now? I know he's staying with you until September or later on this month.
Who, Joel? Oh, Joel actually looks for some land. He wants to build a house, but he wants to build it to live here just for the summer. When it's hot in Florida, he wants to come here. He doesn't want to live here in the summer. He's like, I can't stand it, that's not, it's too hot.
My sister tolerates it down there, but she does a lot of indoor stuff.
He's kind of like saying he's gonna build a house and he isn't in it, he's gonna Airbnb it. He can do that with Liberty and golf course and stuff, I think it would be fine. He's trying to do good. Because with COVID and everything, nobody wants to stay in hotels anymore,
This part of the township, less than 20 minutes, so depending on where you are.
Except his mother will have to be the maid, when they move out, I'll go over and clean it.
That would be a no.
Well, as long as he pays me good. I don't know yet, he's looking, he just started looking at some land.
Everything's running a little high right now.
You can't push that river.
He actually found one, there's a lot of rock on it, so that's part of the thing, you make an offer, he's gonna make an offer on it, and if the park sells, Denver on Chipper, or Clipper, Zipper and Current. That's out there, two lots actually, they're selling one, but it's two lots. And he looked at one up on Drive.
Good to see you.
We've had a long road on this damn deal.
Well,
Waiting for it.
I didn't expect expect anything.
Don't ask me
bad about
how many checks I've
You
written.
need a job, you want something
It's
to do?
over $5 grand.
We're not even done. We're not even done. We gotta redeed it. There's more money.
Read what?
Redeed it.
It's gotta be redeeded because, the books, on this deed won't be correct, so it's gotta be completely redeeded.
There's more money.
You had a,
In time.
In time.
you had a survey and everything, right?
Well, I've been through it all, yes. Engineer, I have, the septic fields all designed, everything's per, Picarelli's approved all that. Yeah, I've been,
We're still waiting for the work.
I've been using beyond boundaries.
Then this is really back
I'm
to
trying to
touch
get
up
it
and then
for, been using their engineer and their surveyor.
I've heard of them, I don't have any.
My dad went back to it, and my knee was like that, suddenly here, so.
Just tell her the truth.
Get her done.
Her knees terrible.
Well, I'm leaving for the beach now, you can tell.
You're gonna have some good weather. Pretty well. Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you golf today?
I did.
Kenny called me out of the hole, I don't have a hole shoes on, she's like, is everything okay, Marge?
Yeah, she said, where's Chip?
My dad left us at 9:30.
Thanks again, man.
That's right.
Had to be there with that.
Anytime you
Yeah, I
gotta
did
do
it.
something, you know, just let me know.
I did it.
Um,
I was
I can't,
tied to the putt
I
putt.
probably asked.
Yeah, I feel like I didn't use deodorant today, everybody left. How's Wendy?
I put your coffee back there, Wendy.
It's fine, how are you?
Going well, thank you.
Good.
What'd you say, Sherry?
I put your coffee back there.
Thank you. So what was the whole airplane thing? The airport? I mean, what?
They wanna put in a,
Oh, he's always missing one.
Oh,
way down past the,
oh, okay.
Yipper.
We were told something totally different.
Yeah, just goes to show you what
What
you're saying.
hearsay is.
We were told by two different people live in Liberty Township that, there was huge complaints with the noise from the drag plant. And I was like,
I'm
that
like,
place
what?
has been here longer than I have been here.
Are they gonna try to shut the
60
airport
some
down?
years.
I'm like, that's why I said give them earplugs. It was on Facebook, there was a petition to sign about noise from the airport. And I'm like, you bought a house by the airport, you're gonna have noise. You know, I mean,
It's like that commercial on television, those people made the grapevine in that
Yeah.
house.
yeah, yeah.
I love that commercial.
Like,
So that wasn't,
They got
that wasn't
different.
even, that was bad, it was bad.
they just wanted to put another hanger down there, that's it?
Another building.
That's it?
Well, do some improvements to the clubhouse.
Well, that's,
Various things.
that's overdue and needs to be done.
Well, I've only been in there once, but it could use some updating, right, Bob?
Well, actually, we had used it
You were the
for
one,
meetings.
you and Wendy need
From
to
here,
wear
when,
those.
you know, when there are two things going on here at the same time, they can go available, anybody wants to use it.
Huh,
We don't leave it open, you know.
I didn't know that's what they
Because
was,
there's nobody
it was
there.
coming.
But it's
so
a,
who owns that person?
the airport is a public airport, the property and the buildings are owned by the non-profit corporation, Mid-Atlantic Soaring Association.
Okay.
It used to be Charlie Rist, you know that name?
Yeah.
That was, he built the airport and was gonna fly rich people up to Washington to ski and play golf.
Actually, that's a great idea.
So are they the
Well,
ones that are
the
gonna
problem
fund
he
the
ran into
building?
was his own personality.
They do all
They do
themselves.
all-
It's all right.
I mean, they're not asking Liberty Township for.
He ended up getting shot in the bed. with a-
He actually went to a
Well, probably his wife's
I
got him.
I don't know, I didn't know him, but I mean, what he did is take Liberty Township and the expression is he took a cookie cutter and like that, and that's where all these lots came from. But none of them would perk, at least around the airport anyway, and a lot over in Carolina didn't perk.
Right.
So,
But
They never did find out who shot him, did they?
I'm not even sure
I
it's
went
true, but
eating the
it's a
next
good
day.
story.
Well, I
Across
remember,
there,
it was
go
it
back.
happened down Gatesburg in a motel room.
Well, that's the most pathetic report I've ever heard.
The township.
So that's where my first house was, and I was the guy that started the water and sewer authority for, Mill Valley.
Oh, yeah?
I was one of the main culprit idiots, and then I got put onto the board for 4 years.
Congratulations.
Yeah, but I got my house, and I got sewer, and the sewer ran down past my
And
place
she goes, oh,
first.
I just told him to come back up here.
So,
Running back towards
It was worth the extra 2 years I had to put in on the board.
Well, there's a lot of holding tanks in Carolina.
Oh, that's what it has. Oh my God, I'll never live with another one.
It's a safety.
I don't know the jailer, I know it was casualty, but there's two guys that can hardly cover all the
I
activity.
said, they're gonna.
Oh yeah, Jerry, he
They're
runs
fun kids.
his tail.
Yeah, we'll find
The
them.
last thing they do is the paperwork. So we're always sorting out paperwork problems about who got pumped and who didn't get pumped.
But if somebody
She's in the car, she better
had any brains with software, somebody could figure that out and do a program very
We
easily.
need to be water over here.
Well, it has to start, he has to,
And rocks.
he has to
Yeah,
notify us
and
when
like
things
raising,
done.
Well, no, it was up
And
so
he-
high
and
that they wouldn't even.
He's out, he's so tired when he gets into night, he can't lift his hand.
All he would have to do is, once a week, put an entry in, and then the rest of it would be all
That's
computerized.
what we're.
He's up with that.
No, I know he's not, I've known Jerry
In the
for
fields.
40-some years now, so.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Completely.
You guys have a good night.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you, Andrew.
That's why the bill, it's Bill Fire now. Oh, you could get across it, but then there was still a road when.
Well, we got to kick the feet up on the chair if you want.
Yeah, yeah, come on,
Good for
right.
that.
If you're sleepy, you just lay down on the floor.
Hey, Ken.
No, I wouldn't.
If we're getting ready to start.
You might have to do the roll call.
Yeah, we will. We're not gonna do a second pledge of allegiance, but we are gonna go ahead and start our meeting at 7:30 on the nose. We're gonna do a second roll call. So Wendy, would you please do the roll call?
Mr. Barlow,
Here.
Mr. Jackson.
Here.
Mr. Fryholt.
Here.
Okay, do we have any, well, let's go back through this thing again. This piece of paper. For anyone that wants to join us by telephone today, the telephone number is going to be 1-832-831-2424. Access code is 280672 for the public comment. So, we have any public comment? Yes, Paul.
I just wanted to say.
Oh my
that-
goodness,
I'm sorry.
scared me to death.
I just wanted to say that I would be in support as a resident, nothing to do with the planning commission, but that I would be in support of the supervisors writing a letter of support for the grant application for NASA. Amen.
Any other public comment? No other public comment? Then we'll move on to supervisor's comment. All right. Bob, would you like to start?
Yeah, just a quickie, I met with H.A. Thompson about our insurance package, which was overwhelmingly complicated in the beginning, but he straightened it all out, and I came away with the impression he really knows what he's doing. And this Eric, what is the name of the company? The former broker who's retired now and sold the business, he's not really involved in it at all. But he's the one who found this customer for H.A. Thompson. So he gets a very small cut of whatever premiums we pay to H.A. Thompson. And but this guy can answer all our questions, and his job is to keep peace among the troops. And so he's available to come out here and answer any questions we've got. And he's tied in with PERMA. As a matter of fact, I think, when you call either one of them, you call Perma or H.A. Thompson, you get the same guy on the telephone, so they're pretty close. But it is, Perma's an organization, a collective organization of many municipalities, and they spread out the agony of claims. And so it's probably, I came away with the impression it's the best deal we could get, and our premium was due last week, so it has been paid, I believe, or it will be approved tonight. But I felt much better after talking to the guy. I understand who's doing what. We don't have two brokers. We got one broker, and it's this guy, H.A. Thompson. And we can feel free to call on him if we got any questions. And we have, everything is the same as it was last year, with a few minor adjustments for including a truck that wasn't in there last year. So we're all set, and I recommend that we go ahead with it. Paying the invoice as it's presented.
Bobby?
I really don't have anything. I just hope everybody got through the rains okay and survived the water running around. So that's all I have to say.
Okay. All right. And I have nothing to say that I won't discuss earlier, so later on, so I'll just forget that. Okay, no other public comments, no supervisor comments. We'll move on now to our meeting agenda. For our last month's minutes, did everyone have an opportunity to review August the 3rd, 2021 Board of Supervisor minutes?
I did. I'll make a motion that they were approved.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. All right, we move on to our August 11th, 2021 insurance meeting that Bob just told us about.
Yeah, there's no reason to have minutes for that, or to consider this canceled.
I don't need to take any motion on that, do I? Okay. Thank you, we'll move on to that. We're gonna go to the treasury report. Does everyone have an opportunity to review the treasurer's report for August? Everyone have any-
I got a motion.
I'll make a motion we approve the treasurer's report for August.
I'll second it.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Okay, we're gonna move over now to invoices. Everyone have an opportunity to review the invoices for August.
I have. I'll make a motion that we pay our invoices.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. This can go very quickly. Everybody had an opportunity to review the payroll.
Yep. I'll make a motion to approve the payroll.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Just check right down that bit. Township reports, police department.
Police department, in August of 2021, we worked 268.5 hours. We put 1,572 miles on the vehicles. We used 127.5 gallons of gas. Answered 11 911 calls, 5 calls were answered by PSP. We wrote 72 traffic citations, 22 warnings, and 8 faulty equipment cards. We worked 25 hours in Freedom Township. We answered 1 911 call in Freedom. We wrote 29 traffic citations and 18 warnings in Freedom. Some of the highlights of the month, actually I think this might have been in September, but we'll say it now. We got a new NRAD. It was delivered on Friday, and it has been in use already several times, and it's working well. We took the old NRAD, so we have one for each car now. So there's an NRAD in each car. That's kind of nice. We don't have to jockey that around so much. Officer Rusin did a roving DUI patrol in August, and also made one DUI arrest in August. Officer Rusin also did several aggressive driving details. The state of Pennsylvania, for those grants, that grant starts over again in October. So we'll be doing some more aggressive driving and seatbelt details and either roving DUIs or DUI checkpoints starting in October.
Did they pick the days for that stuff?
Yeah. Yeah, they have waves, or with roving, like I think the last roving patrols you could do between like the end of August and Labor Day weekend. So they kinda try to hit for the roving patrols like that, or even for some of the, checkpoints, they try to hit around times when they think, you know, you might have more drinking and driving, but they'll do them at other times of the year too. What else? I have been invited to go back to the Highland Township meeting in October, to discuss, more about possible police coverage for them. I was invited to go to the Franklin Township meeting in August, and I did go to that meeting, and they asked, questions about police coverage, and, we left that with they needed to talk to their residents and get an idea from their residents if they would be in favor of having any coverage at all, so they said they would get back to me. The next thing is Officer Rusin and I have been discussing maybe possibly having a Citizens Police Academy, which for us here would be one night, like an evening, where we probably use this room and invite people from anybody, Liberty Township residents or Freedom Township residents, since we cover them, that would like to come and just learn more from myself and a couple officers, maybe one other officer, two other officers, what we do as police officers, what kind of services that we offer above and beyond just calling 911, and maybe show some of the equipment we use and just kind of give an overview of what we do as police officers, let them ask questions, and you know, just kind of get to know back and forth. We'd have to see if there's any interest, but we're kind of throwing that around right now.
Oh, that sounds interesting.
We did something similar to it when I was in Newark. Now that was a lot bigger scale because we had a lot more specialized departments and different stuff. They did theirs once a week, but I think this would probably be good for one night for maybe 2 hours or so. And if we had enough interest in it, you know, we could do it more than just one night. You know, so if you guys want to think about that, we'll think about it and see what we can come up with, and I'll do a kind of an outline to see what we can talk about and stuff like that. Maybe throw it out to, you know, any guys you would see, members of residents of Liberty and Freedom, and see if there's any interest in it. I think that'd be a nice thing to do.
Yeah, that's interesting. I like that.
Would you want to invite anybody from your perspective list of,
Maybe, yeah, maybe that might be a good idea, yeah.
just so they can get a flavor for what they would be buying into?
Yeah, I like that idea.
Traffic citations, you said you got a 72 to 29 in Freedom, is that included in the 72?
Yes, it is. I think we were, if you need to break down.
No, that's all right, I didn't want to go through all that breakdown, I just wanted a quick question.
Yep.
Anyone else have any questions for the chief?
Mr. Chairman, again, if I may, with the NRAD, do you have one of your other vehicles go through it to make sure that's working properly, or do you just set it up and?
I set it up before I put it out and test it before I even put it out to make sure that it's working properly. And then once you put it out, when the first car goes through it, it'll register as 7 for miles per hour. So that is that's what it needs to do to make sure it's calibrated correctly.
So the first car is a target car.
No, the first car
It's a
is
free pass.
it's a free pass.
Remember
It's gonna give you
that,
a
free
7.
pass, 100 miles an hour, get good driver.
Yeah, it gives you a 7 when the first car goes a 7 mile an hour read when the first car.
Doesn't matter if you want 100 something, huh?
So I guess they like this new NRAD because this is an updated model, right? Isn't it? I thought it was more digital.
It's the same thing. Actually, it's not even as good as the old one, because if I had all the attachments to the old one, which I have no idea where they are, the old one has something on it that'll give you, as long as you set it up right, that'll log every speed that comes through it, and you could download it to a computer, but I can't find the attachment to download it to the computer where it would actually just spell out how many cars have gone through and what the actual speed of every car that went through was.
Oh, well, the new one doesn't do that.
Mm-mm.
Huh.
No, it doesn't log any of that.
That's
Does it ever have to be calibrated?
Yes, every 60 days. Every 60 days it has to be calibrated, and it has to be calibrated by a company that is approved by the state of Pennsylvania that's listed in the PA bulletin. So we use a company named Raybolds, and they actually come to Carroll Valley every 60 days, and I take the stopwatches, the NRAD, and the cruiser car that has the VAS car in it over there, and then they calibrate it.
Anything else with the police chief? Thank you, chief.
Yep.
All right, our zoning, this past month we had, let me see here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 permits issued. One was for renovation of a shed, replace an existing house, it's renewal, construction of handicap ramp, siding and roof on a property, and a farm equipment shed for a total of $405 in permit fees. And then we had one driveway permit for $65 was issued for a total of $470 for the zoning permits for the zoning department. Okay, that's that. Now we get to go to the road department. So the road department, we drove a total of 1,385 miles for the month of August. We used in gas 70 gallons of gas, 144 gallons of on-road diesel, and 44 gallons of off-road diesel. So we were pretty busy with the trucks this past month. We also was able to do some base repair. When we started the base repair, we cut up McLaughlin and 6 different spots in McLaughlin and filled in them with QRC. Took us about 2.5 days, 3 days to do that. And then we had, of course, you know, we had our normal trees down along our roadways because of our little storms coming here and there. So we had quite a few trees come down again that we had to tend to. We actually had over on French Creek last week, we had a major problem over there with flooding. It washed out the entire road. So it took us, actually Bobby and I was over there Monday prior to the rain and re-gravelled the east side of the creek for washout, and then we did do some on the west side. And then on Friday we were back out there for the washout that took place on Thursday night. We put down 65 tons of QRC stone on that on Friday to get that back up where you could drive it. And then we had 5 hours of hauling from the grit mill at a cost of $375 for the hauling. We had 3 men working out there for 18 hours at $360. 2 men was on there, like I said, myself and Bob on Monday. We had another $80 out there. We had a backhoe out there for 7 hours at $150 an hour. It cost us $1,050. Labor and equipment for the township just to repair that road on Friday was $1,865. Plus our stone cost us $2,216 to repair the damage to French Creek crossing just on Friday. Of course, you've seen that Bruce has been out going mowing along the roadways. He did now. He's done 5 cuttings on the roadways. He'll be back tomorrow to finish the other half of the township. We anticipate getting 1 more cutting along the roads next month. And then our seasonal part-time help that we had to cut his hours back because of our budgetary things. We're kind of running low on the budget for seasonal part-time, so we did cut back on him. But next week we'll be doing blacktop on McLaughlin. We had like those 5 patches that we had to fix, and we will be blacktopping them next week. So anticipate another 2 to 3 days to do that. That would end our projects.
Is that McLaughlin on the south side of Bullfrog, or
Yes.
nothing?
Nothing on the north side. Yeah. Just cleaning up the road and the trees down on that side. So we anticipate getting that done next week. They're supposed to start the floor install on Thursday of this week. Hopefully that gets done, and it'll be done by next week. Then we're gonna be going on in October, we're planning on doing canopy, opening up the canopy on Bullfrog Road and also on McLaughlin. We budgeted $5,000 to open up the canopy. So, that being said, we have, been talking with the Liberty, Hamilton Van Township about doing a joint effort. Them and us renting a machine for 1 month. It's a lift and also a chipper. And splitting the cost, which is about $2,200 to us, and then $2,200 to them for the equipment, and then we would swap the labor for labor. We help them for 2 weeks, they help us for 2 weeks, and we open up as much road as we can in 30 days. That is something I'm going to be making a motion that we enter into a proposal with Hamilton Band, and Wendy's going to forward that to their Board of Supervisors, and they also tonight have it on their agenda to forward a proposal to us we can agree on. And like I said, we have $5,000 in the budget to do this project, so I'm going to make a motion that we go forward and put these wheels in motion, that we do not have to come back at the October meeting and get this started, because we're planning on starting the tree canopy opening late September, beginning of October. That's a motion I'm putting on the floor.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Wendy, is that all you need for that?
Yep.
Okay, I also have been in contact with some other of our contractors that have done work for the township in the past with this past year with Kinsley Construction and American Paving to get some price quotes for paving Liberty Hall, McLaughlin, and also tar and chipping the lower half. Right now we have a bid, a proposed budget for that. The upper half to do a total reclaim is $200,000, and that's for 0.54 miles. It's $200,000 to do the whole time remote. The lower half is 0.47. We was going to tar and chip that. They had sent us a proposal for $38,000 to do the lower half, so that's a total of $239,000 just for one road. So, it's a little bit pricey. I talked to our state rep, and he said everything is tripled. Didn't guess why? COVID. And I was like, well, that's quite out of our price range just to spend $250,000 for one road. So I had
Petroleum prices are through the roof.
yeah, I know that. I see that, like, wow. So I did contact another outfit. I met with them Friday. They're going to give us some other options and try to come down with the pricing to come down a little bit lower. One recommendation they're saying is do not do a total reclaim on the upper part of McLaughlin, but do a 2-inch overlay blacktop right on top of the existing road, and also use a tack coat on that. And so anyhow, there's two ways they're going to do it. They're going to give us a price for them doing the entire job from start to finish, or if we want to bid it out, labor and equipment, and then we purchase the asphalt through one of the suppliers in the CoStar program. If we do that, then we don't have to pay any taxes on the material. Doing it the other way, we will have to pay taxes. So they're going to get that proposal. Hopefully we'll have that back by October, that we can discuss that again in our budget meeting. But those are the projects. That's the only project we're looking at right now for 2022.
You have any idea what the road volume is on that road, that part of Brooklyn?
Well, yeah, we did a traffic count. She done took off on me. We did a traffic count on that a couple of months ago. And I don't recall what that traffic is. Less than 200 cars per day on that. Right. So,
How would that compare, like, in pressure or
oh
whatever?
God,
Yeah, big difference.
track or anything.
Big,
No
way,
comparison.
yeah, way big difference. That's, I mean, actually, you know, when I did that traffic study, Bob, I did that for the, to try to get some grant money through, the county, and that's why we had to do the traffic study. And so that road is considered a low volume road, according to the county. We are eligible for that grant money, but they were only willing to even give us a maximum of 50,000, but just for one section that we need to replace 2 pipes was, it was gonna be 54,000 just for that section. I went, well, that ain't gonna help us.
Does that price of 200,000 include any culverts?
Oh, nope.
That's entirely. Do we have culvert work to do on that road too?
Nope. We're not going to because, just what I just stated, those pipes that we were talking about, that $54,000 was just 2 pipes. We have 4 pipes on the lower half and 12 pipes on the upper half. So if we just did culvert repair, we got 200 grand in pipe replacement. So we can't do it. We just, as a small township, we just cannot do that. And for us to qualify for the grant money, we have to comply with what the state and the county recommends, which those concrete pipes that we have now be taken out. They're 2 30-inch pipes. They were supposed to put 1 60-inch pipe. I priced out that one pipe, and that one pipe was $8,000 for it. No, that was $14,000 for one pipe.
Mm-hmm.
$14,000 for one pipe, and we got 4 of them. And I went,
Well,
oh,
yeah, we did a bunch of resets up through there,
yes, we did.
dug them up and reset them, and got things tightened up. I think they move over time with freezing and thawing and the sort, but
Yeah,
they're
so
in
we did.
pretty good shape now. They really are.
Yeah, we're good shape with that. So what I'm gonna come back to the board with, I believe, once AAA gets back with us, and is we may try. I've never done this. Hamilton Band did this last year. They bidded out their material separate, and then they bidded out the labor cost in one packet and the material in another packet. They saved quite a bit of money, so hopefully we can approach that, and we can just put a 1-inch overlay, the whole entire land, for less than $200,000. But like I said, that's not gonna leave us any money for any other road projects, if we go that direction. But unfortunately, that's where we are, when we only have $70,000 to work with, and the fuels coming in.
Well, we in the road department have discussed this, I mean, how to really approach this whole thing with the different roads that need work and surface and so forth. And Mickey kind of adopted the philosophy that we'll just do one at a time.
One road a year. until we
One
get-
road a year and get them done and done right and move forward that way, because it's certainly too much burden to do too much for the township. We don't want to borrow money.
Right.
So,
And one of the biggest problems we have, too, in the township is all our roads. Back 50 years ago, 30 years ago, tar and chip on was the way to go, because it was a cheap way to put a bandage on the road. That's not the case today when you're having dump trucks, you got trash trucks, and you got other larger vehicles running on roads and busting them all to pieces, because tar and chip is nothing but oil with some stone in it. That's all it is. So, just like McLaughlin, when we were over there digging up McLaughlin, you can go out here and look at the pile, our road on McLaughlin was a 1/4 inch to 1/8 of an inch in some places, and that was it. That was dirt underneath it. And I was like, we can't continue to tar and chip and tar and chip and tar and chip, because all we're doing is throwing, well, just like Irishtown, this past year, what did we spend on Irishtown? About $48,000. We tar and chip Irishtown.
Yep.
Well, guess what? In 3 years, we've got to come back and do it again. So if we keep putting 48,000, 48,000, 48,000, we just want to go ahead and bite the bullet and do it right the first time, and then we're not, and we've got a road that's going to last us 20 years instead of a road's going to last us 3 years. So that's my philosophy: is we do it once and we do it right the first time, and we move on to the next road. And then once we get them up to par, then what our job as the maintenance department is to maintain those roads, and 20 years later, somebody else will worry about it.
I won't be here.
I won't be here. But, so anyhow, that's where we're at. Hopefully, like I said, next month I'll have some more numbers, coming back from some of these other, contractors. Because right now I'm only getting numbers for the budget, and not for any bids or anything like that, but just for budgetary purposes only.
Does it make any sense, Mickey, to wait till about March, early March, and then rebid it, and hopefully the petroleum prices come down?
Well, that's what we have to do. What we do now, this is only for budgetary purposes
Right,
only.
I understand.
Because we gotta set our budget by January 1st. We can't put bids out until March. I mean, we can't. They won't even start working on roads until early May, if they have the opportunity. But February and March is when you start putting your bid packets out, and the state will help you put those out, and then we advertise them. And by the middle of March, the end of March, we have our bid packets out. In April, we're accepting bids. By April, and in May, we'll actually grant the bids that we will have going forward for 2022. Because if you don't do that time process, and you wait, because this has happened deliberately in years past, is we waited as long as May to start putting the bid pack together. By the time we got the bidders in, well, guess where we were at on the list? Last.
Yeah.
And sometimes you got your work done, and October the 15th is the cutoff. Any work that's gonna be done has to be done by October the 15th, and if it's not done by then, you're done, you're just out of luck. So the earlier we get our bid package together and get them out there, the sooner we get on the list to get stuff done. Again, with all townships, what they'll do is a lot of times when they come into Carroll Valley or Hamilton Band, they'll do some of their roads and they'll catch us on the tail end before they leave the area. That's pretty much how it goes. So they're not going to come out here specifically for us because we just don't have the volume that they want. But that's the process that we have. Like I said, hopefully we'll get some lower numbers. Like I said, our state reps, like everything's tripled. It's like, wow. So, all right, I believe that's about all I have for the road department. Okay. All right, we'll move on to, and you have the municipal agreement that we want to draft up for Hamilton Band. We had that approved, so good. All right, secretary's report, treasurer.
Did everyone take a look at the request I'm having for exonerating a per capita tax for this lady? Did you read over it? She submitted her taxes on time last year.
Little Julie.
And then it got lost in the mail, and then the tax collector couldn't get it, and then it went to collections, and then they are trying to charge her an extra $5. So she paid the actual fee of $11, which I think her per capita was 2 550s. But when she paid it to J.P. Harris, she didn't realize that she wasn't paying her Liberty per capita, because that's who YATB collects it. So J.P. Harris took her $550 and used that as their collection fee. So the woman legitimately paid her taxes, and J.P. Harris currently has her $550 as her collection fee. So I'm just asking you to exonerate her.
I'll make a motion that we give Julie a break on her taxes, even though she moved to Germantown, Maryland. Sold her house here in the township and left us. Do you have a second?
Sure do.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
All right, anything else you have, Miss Wendy?
No, I'm finished, thank you.
You all done. Planning Commission.
Okay.
Sorry, go ahead.
By the way, I just want to mention that the township should be very happy that Friends Creek was vacated back in the 70s, just beyond that ford, because we don't have any access now. And the township was responsible for that road to the Maryland line. So you can just imagine what the cost would have been to fix that. Okay, so I think since the Steins are here, Ken's here, if we could take that up first.
Yep.
At the August meeting, the Planning Commission did recommend conditional approval with KPI's letter, minus notes 1, 2, and 11 being completed. That's the owner's signature, the sewage facility planning, which has been done, and an approval note approved by the solicitor being put on the plan. So I think you all got the memo from Mr. Lisco.
Yep.
Relative to the Stone Plan note.
Yep.
And by the way, it was thank you, very helpful to have Mr. Lisco at that meeting, and also Mr. Thaler was here from the county. Both of those are very helpful, so, do you want me to read these from Mr. Lisco, you have them there?
I have them, you can do it, that's fine, you can go ahead and do that.
Okay, so note 9 should be deleted from the plan. And then the arrow indicating that the 1.960 acre tract depicted as parcel A was intended to be a lot addition, the 11.745 acre tract shall be deleted. Number 3, the words lot addition under the 1.960 acre on parcel A shall be deleted. 4, the words lot recombination under the words final plan shall be deleted. 5, the first sentence of the DEP note under the word site map shall be deleted. All 6, all other notes, comments, and the like on said plan shall remain in full force and effect. 7, this amendment shall be retroactive to the date the plan was approved by the Liberty Township Board of Supervisors.
Okay,
So basically what happened was this was recorded inaccurately back in
so we'll make a motion to accept the
2000.
recommendations of the chairman of the planning board and this township solicitor, John Lisco.
So moved.
All in favor? So, okay.
Are we voting on the plan, or was it the, is that what you're voting on? Yes.
Yeah, the
The
recommendation.
actual plan.
Yes.
Approved. Okay, thank you.
Okay, so as I said, everybody, so you're okay. Okay, so.
He's like, I'm gonna stay home and take a minute.
During the planning commission meeting, during the public comments, Dana Talcott, who's the daughter of Roy and Gil Crum, discussed the proposed subdivision between the Crums and the Talcotts. And the original plans got changed to septic and got changed because it was 0.99 acres that were left freestanding. And there was a lot of discussion about this piece and where it belonged and what the note said and whatever. And Mr. Lisco took a very active part in the discussion, thank you very much. Especially related to the 3/11/2011 subdivision notes. And the family now needs to make certain determination about boundaries. Mr. Lisco gave suggestions and would be happy to talk to their attorney, Mr. Thrasher, whom the applicants really, it seemed to me, and correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Lisco had not even met with this attorney.
It appeared that way. At first, she said our attorney approved this, and then she said, well, then he hasn't, then at one point she said, well, he hasn't actually seen anything, which was kind of misleading. If he had approved it, how could he approve it without seeing anything?
So what I just did from that is they took this to the Adams County abstractors, right? And the abstractor's attorney is this attorney Thrasher. So they spoke to the attorney never spoke to them. That's my understanding. I haven't heard anything from them.
So they say.
Amen?
Praise the Lord.
Okay, Greenview Estates update. Mr. Royer came ready
He just
to.
walked out the door.
Mr.
No,
Royer,
that's
Ken.
No, that was Ken, that's who represented me.
Oh, I thought that was.
They're all starting to look the same.
They are.
That's not true at all. All right, so Mr. Royer came to the meeting. He was the first one here, and I was going to unlock the doors, which Sherry had already nicely done. And he was ready to have his plan discussed, but his plan we didn't even have a plan at that point. And he had back in June sent me a letter saying that he was gonna resubmit a plan and he was going to make it one plan for Liberty Township of one parcel. And I guess, Wendy, do you have that plan? Because I don't have that plan.
Yes, he submitted it. They're gonna accept it for
Okay,
review
so it
tonight.
hasn't come to the planning.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's on for the board to accept it for review.
Okay, at the meeting, Mr. Royer what needs to be done, and that it needs to be resubmitted. And he suggested, Donnie suggested, advised him that he talked to the zoning officer and the Adams County board about boundary lines, because we're gonna get the same problem that we've been in with two other properties over here, is what is the actual boundary line between townships. So that's the story, it's plan. We accepted the grant for the subdivision on Harbor Valley Road, so that started the clock on August 17th.
That's all.
Don't you think that was a
That was a lot, I love your ears. All right, so we'll move on to, thank you, Judy, I appreciate that, thank you, guys.
Thanks for coming.
Thanks for last month.
You're welcome.
And we'll move
Have a good
on
evening.
to our old
See you,
business. See you guys.
Do you want me to call you when they're ready?
We'll expect a party when the plant, when the house is finished.
We'll have one.
When you get them done.
So the next item on is old business is, A, consider advertising for adoption of codification ordinance. So, anyone have any objections for us advertising the codification to move forward?
Well, the only issue is, and I just discovered this recently, they're calling us Township of Liberty rather than Liberty Township. If you look at the code book, it says Township of Liberty. So I discussed this with Wendy today, and she sent me over some documents. I think we're Liberty Township. Not, I mean, there it is right there.
Yeah. Liberty Township, Adams County.
Every zoning ordinance, every ordinance that I have a copy of, it's Liberty Township, not Township of Liberty. So I called General Code today, didn't get a response. I sent an email to 3 of them. The one, Megan, replied to my email. She said she'll give me a call tomorrow.
She was the one editing the code, so.
Yeah. So I mean, it's ready to go. What I sent Wendy, she has the ad, she has the ordinance. Part of it is in Word, part of it's in PDF because they won't give you anything in Word.
I'll get it.
Yeah,
I can get it from the text.
yeah, I think the ordinance is all in Word because one of my other townships, they had it in Word. And so I just revised it. So you have the ordinance, but the ad isn't, part of it's in Word and part of it isn't.
No, I can get that off those PDF documents. You're
Yeah.
talking about the 2 PDFs with the quick table of contents? Yes, I'll get it taken care of.
Okay.
Yeah, well, but what I sent you is fine. So I think it's ready, except we just gotta get this name thing squared away.
So I'm gonna make a motion that we go forward with advertising after they change the wording to Liberty Township, Adams County, from,
Township of Liberty.
instead of Township of Liberty.
Seems like a small technicality, but it needs attention.
Well, yeah, I mean, you know, assuming that we're Liberty Township and not Township of Liberty, the documents Wendy sent me indicated that we were incorporated from Hamilton Band Township in 1800. And apparently our records, we don't have records from back then.
No.
Maybe Hamilton Band does.
And I think you're right with the wording too, because I do know that when I talk on the phone to people, they're asking you, which Liberty are you? There's multiple Liberties in the state of Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
They're not the only township,
Yeah.
Liberty Township.
Well, the one I'm concerned with those which is Township of Liberty, and there are numerous Washington townships in Pennsylvania. So I would like your motion to move forward with the advertising and, you know, with the name that is determined to be the proper name for Liberty Township. You know, right now I think it's Liberty Township, but I just wanna make sure of that.
Is that what we just did?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Mr. Rowley did make the motion.
Okay. And yeah, we already voted, right? To
No.
approve.
No,
All right,
no.
so I have a
Just got
second.
the motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Number B is consider a motion to appoint Silk Elliott Kearns as our CPA firm for 2021 audit.
Did you have an opportunity to look at the different price ranges they were giving? Did you 1 year, 2 years, or 3 years?
Yes.
Okay, just keep that in mind and then tell me what you want if you choose to go.
Do I have a second?
I'll second
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. The next agenda item is C, 2022 draft budget review updates. Wendy passed out some paperwork to you tonight.
Yes, I would like you to, take that with you, review it, make sure that, Jessica and I have entered your numbers correctly, if there was a misreading of handwriting or typos. And then if you want to come back to me with corrections or adjustments between now and the next meeting, that would be great. And then, we will review it line by line in the next meeting, and I'll highlight the differences at that point. As you see, once your numbers are entered, a few of you don't have a balanced budget yet, so you can take a look at that too in the meantime, and discuss that with me, as we go over your numbers. So if this is just a handout for tonight, for you to review, visit with me, and we will actually go over the budget line by line next meeting.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. All right, each one of you guys now, item I, C, how C go to R?
What happened? Oh, that's a one.
Oh, is that one?
It's called a one and that.
Okay. Propane pricing. So I did call around and get some pricing for different propane. Last year we had McLaughlin's gave us our fuel last year. This year the price that they have submitted is quite a jump. Last year was $1.22 a gallon for a locked-in price. This year the locked-in price is $1.89. So that spurred me to move forward with getting another price. I had a phone bid from Heller Propane. They did not want to do a lock-in, but they were doing a sliding scale, 162, and then cap at 180.
What's the sliding scale?
Well, they start us out at 162, and then cap it at $1.82.
And keep.
Yeah, as the market fluctuated, they wouldn't go under $1.62, and they wouldn't go over $1.82.
Gotcha.
Then I had AmeriGas. We contacted AmeriGas. AmeriGas gave us a price of $1.99 per gallon. I was like, wow. So then I was able to contact Mason Propane Services out of East Berlin. Their price was $1.60, but because we're a municipality, they would give us a 10 cents discount. So they were willing to lock in May until May of 2022, lock in the price at $1.50 a gallon. They're the lowest bidder, so I'm going to make a recommendation, make a motion.
Who is it?
It's Mason Dixon.
No, Masons.
Masons, I'm sorry, Masons, I call Mason Dixon. Masons, they gave us a price of $1.50 per gallon. They'll lock that in for the entire season, starting September the 30th till May 1st of 2022.
I'll make a motion that we accept Mason's proposal.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We will draft up the paperwork and let them know that they have the contract for 2021-22 season. Thank you. Then we're going to go down to public comment again under new business. Again, if you're on your phone and you would like to have a comment, this is the time that you can comment on new business items only, A through K. That number is 832-831-2424. The conference ID number is 280672. Any public comments on new business items? Any public comments here in public? I hear no public comments. We'll move forward with the new business. A is consider a lawyer's request for a waiver for July 7th, 2021 from Green Lots Recombination 25AA00031-00 and 25AA00032-000. Any discussion on that waiver?
That's that 13 point whatever acres stuff there, right?
Is that the Greenview LLC?
No,
Well, it's Green.
this is something where you're combining trimming a lot.
It's a gear, this is the gear, right? It's the
It's
gear.
no big subdivision.
There's the
Somebody
gear.
has a couple of lots, they just
recombination of these two lots.
And that's why we give a we entertain the waiver for the full plan submission for that action. And that's what they're asking, because we did one more recently, Josh Holmes had.
Yeah, we did the Josh Holmes one, yes.
They're just erasing a lot line,
Yes.
so.
Well, that's good. I'll make a motion that we accept it.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you. Number B, consider accepting requests for extension of time to review the Trindle Final Minor Subdivision Plans 25D16-0007-000.
Oh, yes, can I have a retroactive approval for the fifth, because that's when that plan expired. We previously approved this as conditional, but they need more time to meet the conditions. So it's technically approved, they're just requesting that we give them an extension of time to.
How long of an extension?
It says on, did I give the time?
Yeah, November 30th.
It's in the
That's
letter,
it.
November 30th. Because that time has already been granted to them by the other township. So we're just gonna be on the same
I'll make a
page.
motion that we accept.
Thank you.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
That's a good valuation.
Alright, C, consider accepting final minor subdivision plans dated June 7th, 2021 for review. That's the Greenview LLC, Washington Township, Franklin County, Liberty Township, Adams County. Do I have a motion to accept the final plans for review?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Number D is consider authorizing signatures for the 2022 Freedom Municipal Intermunicipal Contract for the police department.
I'll make a motion we accept the,
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. E, consider adopting a resolution for intermunicipal police freedom for 2022 Freedom Township Police Contract. Make a motion that we draft a resolution for that.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
aye.
The resolution is there, so you're approving or accepting the resolution?
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
F, consider accepting the 2022 minimum municipal obligation for the pension plan. I'll make a motion that we do that.
I'll second it.
Approved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. G, consider Adams County Tax Office responsible to property tax assessment for 9 East Wind Trail. That is going to be a home that was built, started building in 2014. Yeah,
Or 16, I don't know.
yeah, 14, 16, at that time period, it was never added to the tax roll. And this came to the attention of the township, that it needed to be, so we need to, engage Adams County to assess that property and tax it accordingly.
Well,
I think they sent a response saying they're gonna.
There was a telephone call, I'm just requesting a written response,
Just a
asking
written
the board to formally write them a
okay.
letter. We're not saying they're not giving us a response. There was a verbal passed to a person, so I'm just asking the board to formally
Okay, all right, that's
request
fine.
what the plan is. And Mr. Barlow, did anyone make a motion?
I made a motion.
Thank you.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Yeah.
Aye.
Okay. I don't gotta hear myself. I know something.
H.
Oh, I know that one.
Oh.
You can't turn it fast enough.
H, consider request for support of the ACTPO in updating its long-range transportation plan.
They want to come in and make a presentation. I would suggest that you do it maybe during the planning commission, if they have time. And Judy's looking at me funny, but it's budget season. And then they wanted to do a joint with the planning commission anyway, so, if the board wants to okay our support for that, and, I will contact them and work with you to schedule a public presentation. They want public input.
Okay, do we have a?
Yeah, I'll make a motion that we allow that.
Thank you.
A second,
Second?
all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. All right, consider, commenting on the Washington Township Franklin County zoning ordinance and comprehensive plan amendment. I make a motion that we don't respond, because why?
Just no comments.
No comments, we don't have any
Okay,
comments.
that's fine, and I just let them know, thank you for the plan.
Anybody
We
have,
don't, we're
do I have a
not.
second on that?
Yeah, I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
J, community media donation request. Well,
I think they also want to make a presentation.
I don't even know what kind of donation they want. Does anybody know what kind of donation?
They're
they want?
looking for the peg fee, aren't they, Bob?
Oh, is that what they're looking for?
Looking for what?
That money?
They actually, when I was contacted, they weren't even aware that we would give, we were collecting a franchise fee. But that's what's written down.
And they're looking for what?
Peg,
Or some of the franchise
They
fees.
want some of the franchise
they
fees.
want us to support the peg operation.
Yeah.
Which nobody even knows what it stands for, much less watches it.
So I'm gonna make a motion that that's no.
Or if you're not
You don't want a
interested,
presentation?
No.
we had one. but-
Well, nice, we had a presentation, didn't we do that like 2 times?
Yeah, they said we need money because we're broke.
Yeah, I know, I remember the meeting.
Yeah, that
And
old
we said-
projector and everything.
Come back and tell us why you're a benefit to the township.
Yeah, they never
And they
did.
said they would, and this is their wood if they're gonna do it.
Okay, so you're not interested in presentation.
I'm not.
I can go back to him and ask him maybe if he could write a brief summary for the board to show direct things, specific for Liberty
I'll
Township.
be happy to meet with them like with the insurance guy.
Yeah.
I mean, if they can prove that people in this township would benefit by having that service, then we ought to consider it seriously, but I don't know anybody, I've never watched it.
I mean, either. Look, yeah, you know, I
I
have no
don't
problem.
know anybody that has.
If you wanna take the time to do that, that's totally up to you, you can certainly do so.
Well, but this one, I'll be happy to volunteer.
Okay, Bob's gonna volunteer to speak with them.
Barbara, I'll give you who I've been talking back and forth to and go from there.
I'll talk to them. I don't know if Ron Harris is involved in that anymore, I don't think so.
Okay, the last thing we have on our agenda for tonight is the SPCA donation. I believe we have in our coffer for that $300.
$300,
So I'll make a motion that we give them $300 donation according to our budget for 2021.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye. There again, they really, they do provide a service, but I don't know how important it is. The things that they claim they give us, they're not much of a benefit, but in the back of my mind, I remember the police saying that they were helpful in clearing dead animals off the road and that sort of stuff. So I don't know, and it was not included in their letter of request.
Yeah. Okay, well, if we don't have anything else tonight, I'm gonna make a motion for adjournment.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Good
Thank
meeting.
you, appreciate it.
You getting this down?
Yeah, we're getting this done.
I think that's the science plan.
We don't want to, but if you write them up, I guess we will.
Good wait. Now they've enlarged the room.
I know they're gonna be calling tomorrow.
Do they, is this what they put on this?
Yeah, it's on there, I already,
Okay.
it's on there. Don't worry.
This part too?
Yep,
Pretty
all
soon
the
we'll
entire
have
thing.
the
It
jumbo
actually
plans.
says- No, it says.
Huh?
Yeah, tell me about it.
Okay, all right.
Little notes and then list that, I'm sure.
All right, thank you.